Good morning, students. I'm Harshada More. Welcome you all in the third lecture of Unit 1, subject Labor Legislation. Uh, in previous class, we have discussed two important acts, that is Factories Act 1948, and we have discussed about Industrial Dispute Act 1947. In today's class, we are going to discuss about what is the Industrial Employment Standing Order Act 1946. So this particular act has a particular definition for standing order. As per Industrial Employment Standing Order Act 1946 Section 2, standing order means rules relating to matters set out in the schedule to the act as per Section 2 subsection 9 to be covered, and in respect of which the employer has to draft for submission to the certifying officer are matters specified in the schedule. So this is what a standing order definition. A standing order, in general, it is these are the laws which are governed the relationship between the employer and employee. Okay, so it can be in industrial establishments, which includes different elements. I can say elements such as working hours, attendance, suspensions, and terminations. So, to avoid the friction amongst the employer and employee employed in the organization, it is a principal aim of Indian legislation in India. So, it was considered that the society had a vital interest in the settlement of the terms of the employment. This particular act has been executed. Therefore, the steps were taken by the central government, and this act came into force to give a protection to the workmen with regard to the condition of the employment. So, this is what a standing order means. Next, we'll discuss. Okay, just a second. We'll discuss what does standing order includes. Okay, so standing order includes classification of workers, it includes classification of workers, shift workings, attendance, and it includes casual leave, payment of wages, stoppage of the work, dismissal. It includes complaints. Again, it includes suspension, leave holidays. These are the important um, aspects which comes under standing orders. Then we'll be discussing the next part as what are the objectives of Industrial Employment Standing Order Act 1946. What are the different objectives? The purpose of the having this particular act at the plant level and other commercial establishment was so that was to give some protection to employer as well as to employee. And secondly, the order regulates the condition of employment, grievance, misconduct, etc. of the workers employed in the industrial undertakings. So why there is a requirement of solving the industrial employment disputes? Why there is a requirement? Because unsolved grievance can become the industrial dispute. We have discussed in a previous act. So these the grievance which are unsolved, complaints which are unsolved, will result into industrial dispute. So this is what the objectives of this particular act. Next, we'll be discussing what are the different silent features of this particular act. Okay, so first silent feature is the first silent feature is this act may be called as the Industrial Employment Act or Industrial Employment Standing Order Act 1946. It applies the whole India. It applies whole India, includes the state of Jammu and Kashmir. It applies to every industrial establishments which employs on any day 100 or more workmen is required to adopt a standing order specifying the conditions of the employment of its workers. So it, and most important, it came into force on 23rd of April, April 1946. So it was 46. Okay, so this is what the silent feature, and whenever most of the time the question on this particular this aspect will won't come, that is silent feature of this Industrial Employment Standing Order Act, because I have saw the previous question paper. There were questions about the silent features of previous both acts, that is Factory Act and Industrial Dispute Act. But if you get any question on Industrial Employment Standing Order Act 1946, please try to summarize whatever I have explained in the form of silent features, objectives, definitions, or introduction. Okay, so next we'll be discussing what are the different definitions of this particular act. Each act has its own definitions. So like see, I can't put something by my own, because when there is an act, when there are the definitions, we have to write as per they have mentioned. Okay, so first definition which we are going to discuss is first definition is appeal authority. So as per appeal authority, as per section 2 clause A, appeal authority means an authority appointed by the appropriate government by notification in the official gazette to exercise the functions of an appeal authority under the act. The area of the appellate authority may be specified in the notification, provided that in relation to an appeal pending before the industrial court or other authority immediately before the commencement of the Industrial Employment Act 1963. Second, we'll be discussing about appropriate government. As per section 2 clause B, appropriate government means in respect of industrial establishments under the control of the central government or a railway administration, or in a major port, mine or oil field, the central government. In all other cases, appropriate government means the state government. Okay, next is certifying officer. Certifying officer as per section 2 clause C is a labor commissioner or a regional labor commissioner, and includes any other officer appointed by the appropriate government. Okay, next we have something called as employer. So as per section 2 clause D, employer means the owner of an industrial establishment to which this act of time being applies. Okay, next we have something called as standing orders. So standing orders includes the rules relating to the matter set out in the schedule. Like this is as per section it is as per section 2 clause G. So standing orders are the set of rules, schedules, so that we'll be able to solve the different matters at the organization. Okay, matters of the organization we can solve with the help of this particular standing orders. Next is we'll be discussing about trade union. So as per section 2 clause H, it means it means a trade union for the time being registered under the Trade Union Act 1926. So you have been heard about that the people, there is a union at every organization, so that they can take a stand if something is wrong happening to the employees. They can raise voice against something which is fishy happening at the organization. They can take their own stand. They can raise voice against it. So that is what a trade union, when union of the people, union of the employees, they are taking stand for something that is mishappening at the organization. Next we have wages and workmen. So as per section 2 clause I, Wages and workmen have the meanings respectively assigned to them in section 2RR and section 2S of the Industrial Dispute Act 1947. So this particular definitions we have discussed in Industrial Dispute Act 1947. So this is what all we have discussed for today's class. So what we have discussed in today's class, we have studied the new act, that is Industrial Employment Standing Order Act. Then in that we have further discussed about what is the definition of standing order. Then we have discussed what does standing order includes. Then we have discussed what are the different objectives of standing order, that is this particular act. Then we have discussed different silent features of features of this act. We have further discussed important definitions of this act, that is appeal authority, appropriate government, certifying officer, employer, standing orders, trade union, wages and workmen. So these are the important three acts of this particular unit 1. We have different aspects such as procedure for certification of standing order. We have something discussion about the procedure for submission of the draft standing orders, these and conditions for certification of standing orders, and payment of subsistence allowance, and power of certifying officer. So these remaining aspect will study in the next class. If you people have any kinds of doubts regarding the topic we have discussed, please you can ask. You are free to ask any kind of doubts related to the subject. So thank you.